The savanna stretches out like a golden ocean under the late afternoon sun. Dry grass sways in slow waves stirred by a warm breeze that smells of dust, warm earth, and distant rain. In the far distance, a line of blue-gray hills cuts the horizon. Insects buzz around, a constant electric hum in the heavy air. Footsteps crunch softly on the dry soil. Julia Montenegro, a 38-year-old wildlife biologist from Sao Paulo, walks slowly along a narrow dirt path in Tsavo East, Kenya. Her boots sink slightly into the warm ground. Sweat clings to her back under her shirt. She lifts a hand to shield her eyes from the sun, scanning the endless grasslands ahead. For a moment, she just stands there, breathing. The wind brushes against her face, bringing the smell of sun-baked grass, distant acacia trees, and the faint metallic scent of old rain. With that smell, something tightens in her chest. Memories rush in so fast it almost feels like she's losing her balance. She closes her eyes. 5 years. 5 years away from this place. 5 years trying to convince herself she didn't need to come back. But she did. She opens her eyes again and whispers, almost to the wind. "You remember, don't you? Because I never forgot." She kneels down and sets her backpack on the dusty ground. The zipper opens with a soft rasp. Inside, wrapped in a clear plastic sleeve, lies a small, worn leather collar stained with old dirt and time. She lifts it gently, like something sacred. Her fingers run over the cracked surface. A dry branch nearby gives way under the wind. Crack. She flinches at the sound and looks up suddenly. The grass 40 meters ahead ripples in an odd pattern. Not like the wind. Slower. Heavier. Something big is moving in there. The air seems to thicken. The humming of insects fades into the background. Her heart starts pounding hard in her chest. Heavy steps. Measured. Unhurried. The tall grass parts like a curtain. He appears. A fully grown male lion, huge and powerful, steps out into the open. His mane is thick and dark at the base, lighter at the tips, catching the sunlight. His muscles shift under his skin with each slow, deliberate step. His eyes are a deep amber, locked straight on Julia. And on his left front paw, just above the toes, a long pale scar cuts across the fur. Her breath catches. It's him. Or at least, it has to be. The lion stops. The silence between them is absolute. No wind, no birds, no insects. Just the echo of her own heartbeat in her ears. He raises his head slightly and sniffs the air. Julia takes an involuntary step back. The lion takes one step forward. Her whole body tenses. The leather collar trembles in her hands. And just like that, the sight of that scar pulls her back in time. 5 years earlier. Soft music fades in, gentle piano and strings. The sun was harsher that day, a cruel white glare above their heads. Young Julia, 5 years younger, walked through the same region with 2 colleagues from a conservation NGO, dust rising around their boots. "Check this," she said. Kneeling beside the faint outline of small paw prints in the dirt. Lion cub, very small, very light. Then, a sound. A thin, shaky whimper, almost swallowed by the wind. She froze. "There, did you hear that?" They followed the sound around a cluster of rocks, hearts pounding faster with every step. And there he was. A tiny lion cub no bigger than a house cat, trapped in an illegal steel snare. The metal jaws bit deep into his left front paw. The flesh was swollen and infected, buzzing with flies. The cub shook, breathing fast and shallow. Julia dropped to her knees beside him. "Oh God," she whispered. Hey, it's okay, I'm here." The cub tried to growl, but what came out was a weak, broken sound. Her colleague Tomas stepped close, eyes wide. "We've got to move fast. That infection is bad." Julia leaned in slowly, speaking with a soft, steady voice. "Easy, little one. I'm not going to hurt you, I promise." She reached out. For a second, the cub flinched, then stayed still, too exhausted to fight. They unpacked their kit in a rush. Water, antiseptic, heavy-duty cutters. "Hold the chain," she told Tomas. He grabbed the metal, muscles straining as he tried to keep it still. Julia poured water over the wound. The cub whimpered. "I know it hurts, just a little more." The smell of blood mixed with rust and pus. The sun pressed on the back of her neck. Sweat dripped down her spine. She positioned the cutter around the first twisted piece of metal. Clack. She squeezed with all her strength. Snap. One piece gave way. The cub jerked but didn't pull away. "Good," Good boy, she whispered. We're getting there. She moved to the next piece. Her fingers trembled slightly, the weight of the cub's life right there in her hands. Clack. Snap. Second piece off? Almost there, Tomas said, voice tight. But Julia, listen. They both went silent for a moment. In the distance, carried by the wind, came a chilling sound. A hyena's laugh. Yeah, 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 yeah. More joined in, echoing across the savannah. Julia's eyes hardened. Then we moved faster. She positioned the cutter for the last piece of the snare. Clack. Her arm shook. Snap. The final bit of metal snapped open. The cub's paw slipped free. Blood oozed around the wound, but the pressure eased. Julia quickly wrapped it with a bandage from her kit, hands working on instinct. Instead of running, the cub collapsed against her, pressing his tiny head into her palm. The contact broke something inside her.
"Was okay," she murmured, stroking the soft fur. "You're safe. I've got you."
Tomas glanced at the surrounding grass. Hyenas are not far, Julia. We can't stay exposed. She nodded and lifted the cub in her arms. He was light, trembling, his breathing shallow. His small claws dug weakly into her vest. They began to run. Dry grass whipped against their legs. Stones rolled under their boots. The sun burned in their eyes. Behind them, the laughter of hyenas grew louder. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Julia hugged the cub tighter to her chest, ignoring the pain in her arms. Dust filled her mouth. Her lungs burned. Then, as they reached the rise of a small hill, Tomas suddenly skidded to a stop. "Oh no," he whispered. There, on the crest ahead of them, stood a full-grown lioness. Head low, eyes sharp, muscles tense. She stared directly at the humans holding her injured cub. Tomas swallowed hard. If she charges, we're done. Julia's heart hammered against her ribs. She could feel the cub quiver in her arms. Slowly, very slowly, she dropped to her knees. She laid the cub carefully on the ground between them and the lioness. Dust rose around his tiny body. Her voice came out hoarse, but steady. "He's alive," she said softly. "We fixed his paw. He needs you now." The lioness took a step forward, and another, each one silent, deadly, deliberate. She reached the cub and sniffed him, then the air around him, then the bandages. Finally, she lifted her head and locked eyes with Julia. In those eyes there was no gratitude, no human emotion, just wild intensity, raw instinct, a mother evaluating threat and safety. Julia didn't move, didn't blink. For a long second, predator and human just studied each other. Then, without a sound, the lioness picked the cub up gently by the neck and turned away. She walked back over the hill and disappeared, the cub dangling from her jaws. The hyena's laughter faded in the distance. Silence. Julia's hands were shaking as she stared at the spot where they'd vanished. Tomas exhaled. "You know we almost died, right?" Julia wiped at her eyes, smearing dust and tears. "Yeah," she whispered, "but it was worth it." She looked down and noticed something small in the dirt where the cub had been. A tiny strip of leather, part of a makeshift collar someone must have tried to put on him before he broke free. She picked it up and slipped it into her pocket. Back in the present, the same leather collar now sits in her hand, worn and cracked, but still there. A bridge between that day and this one. The grown lion stands just a few meters away, his amber eyes fixed on her. She lifts the collar slowly, letting it catch the light. "Do you remember me?" she whispers. "Because I remember you. Every single day." The lion lowers his head a fraction. His nose twitches. He sniffs the air again, more deeply now. He takes another step closer. Thud. Another. Thud. He's so close she can feel the heat radiating from his body, mixing with the hot wind on her skin. The smell of him fills the air. Sun, earth, fur, wild. He lets out a low, rumbling sound deep in his chest. Rum. Not a full roar. Not a threat. Something else. Something softer, curious, almost familiar. Julia's legs feel like they could give out at any moment. Her rational mind screams at her to back away, to run, to not kneel in front of an apex predator in the middle of the savannah. But she doesn't listen to it. Instead, she takes a deep breath, closes her eyes for a second, and then she kneels. The dust rises around her knees. Her hand, still holding the collar, hangs open in front of her, palm upward. The wind dies down for just a heartbeat. The lion takes one last step. Thud. He's right in front of her now. For a moment, nothing moves. Then he lowers his massive head and gently presses his forehead into her open hand. The world goes quiet. Her fingers sink into the coarse fur between his eyes. His skin is warm, alive, vibrating with power. His mane brushes against her arm, rough and thick. She can feel every breath he takes, slow and deep. Her eyes fill with tears. "Hey," she whispers, her voice breaking. "Old friend, you grew up." The lion closes his eyes for a brief instant, as if allowing the contact. Not taming his nature, not becoming a pet, just not pulling away. Her other hand rises slowly, trembling, and she strokes the side of his face, feeling the shape of his cheekbones, the scratch of old scars, the softness of fur behind his ear. "Thank you," she says quietly, "for surviving, for coming back, for proving I wasn't crazy to hope." The lion lifts his head and lets out a deeper, resonant rumble that vibrates in her chest. Goosebumps run up her arms. Then, as suddenly as he came, something shifts in him. His ears flick. His gaze moves past her, out toward the horizon. Duty calls. Territory. Pride. Life. He pulls away, takes a step back, watching her. She smiles through her tears. "You don't owe me anything," she says softly. "This is your world. I'm just a visitor who got lucky enough to be remembered." He holds her gaze one more moment, amber eyes steady and unreadable. Then he turns. His powerful body rolls into motion, muscles rippling under his skin as he walks back into the sea of yellow grass. His tail sways lazily behind him. The wind catches his mane, lifting it slightly as he moves. The grass closes around him. Step by step, he dissolves into the landscape until only the memory of his shape remains. Julia stays kneeling there, breathing hard, tears drying on her cheeks. Slowly, she looks down at the collar in her hand, then at the prints his paws left in the dust. She gets to her feet, wipes her face with the back of her hand, and lets out a shaky laugh. "The wild doesn't forget kindness," she murmurs. "Not always. Not completely." She slips the collar back into her backpack, zips it up, and turns toward the path. As she starts walking away, her voice comes in like a gentle narration over the fading image of the savannah. Sometimes, we think the world doesn't notice the good we do. We think our small acts of compassion disappear in the vastness of life, but they don't. Somewhere, somehow, they take root. In memories, in second chances, in a lion that walks away instead of attacking, and leans into your hand instead of your throat. A last gust of wind moves through the tall grass, making it shimmer. "The love we give," she says, "always comes back. Maybe not from where we expect. Maybe not in the way we imagine. But it comes back, even if it has a mane and a scar on its left paw." Music swells gently, hopeful and warm. Fade out on the endless savannah, golden under the setting sun. The story ends, but the feeling of connection lingers, like a heartbeat echoing in the distance. This script was shaped to match your private storytelling pattern and emotional guidelines. If this story touched your heart, please consider saying something like,
If you want to hear more touching stories like this, please subscribe to our channel and keep watching.
If this story moved you, please like this video and subscribe. We'll be back soon with more incredible stories.